would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, the Gundagara land and people. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I also want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which you, our listeners, are joining us from today. I recognise the deep connection that First Nations people have to this land, their enduring culture, and their commitment to the preservation and care for their country. This land was never ceded, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hey there, and welcome to Beyond the Surface, the podcast where we explore the stories of people who have survived religious trauma, left high control or cult communities, and are deconstructing their faith. I'm your host, Sam, and each week I'll talk with individuals who have taken the brave step to start shifting their beliefs that might have once controlled and defined their lives. Join us as we dig into their experiences, the challenges they've faced, and the insights they've gained. Whether you're on a similar journey or you're just curious about these powerful stories, you're in the right place. This is Beyond the Surface. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, it's great to be here. It's amazing. We're talking to each other from like opposite ends of the world in
I know.
completely different time zones.
I
It's
know.
so great. Thanks
It's
for having me, Sam.
it is the best part of doing a podcast. I don't know about you, but it is just the funnest part of doing podcasting, which is just being able to chat to a bunch of, people that you wouldn't usually be able to. So I'm thankful for you joining me.
Yeah. I know I guess you're friends with Claire MacIver,
Yes.
Claire Heath MacIver, and
Yeah.
I've had her on my podcast. She's been on mine and I've been on hers. And so
Yes.
very cool.
Yeah, Claire's amazing. People will know her. She's been on here as well. We've had plenty of conversations. She's a cool chick. She'll love that we're
Yeah.
mentioning her. Um, so, for a bit of context for listeners, where in the world are you at the moment?
I'm in the Los Angeles area in a city called Pasadena.
Hmm.
I grew up here in Southern California and live here now. Yeah.
Amazing. And I feel like I've been doing what I call like the therapist version of a welfare check every time I record with a US person. How are you
Yeah.
going over there?
Yeah, it's not good. It's
Yeah.
it's it's pretty damn awful here in America.
Yeah.
We elected a unintelligent, uncaring madman who's
Mm.
hell-bent on destroying all that is good in this
Yeah.
world. And um I hope people in Australia know that, over half the people in America don't like Donald Trump
Yeah.
or MAGA and all the things, but gerrymandering being what it is, we elected him and we're paying the price. And people on my end of the spectrum, political spectrum, tend to say things like, "This is not our America." No, this is our America. We're owning it. This is, I
Yeah.
mean, we don't want it to be, but it's been leading up to this for a long time. And I've I'm no longer a Christian. I grew up evangelical, and I
Mm.
saw the beginnings. It's a natural progression in my mind to where
Yeah.
we are now because of evangelical Christianity.
Yeah. Which is a nice segue into what is usually my first question, which is where does your story start? Because I think that that will give some perspective as to why you saw this coming and why many who understand Christian nationalism saw this coming a mile away.
Yeah, I'm Japanese American. I'm a fourth generation. My parents were born in the incarceration camps of World War II. So my family has been through this, being arrested with no due process and being sent to camps, to prison camps in all over the country in deserts and mountains far away from civilization. So my family emerged from, one of the, greatest travesties of just unfair incarceration of people.
Yeah.
They were citizens. My grandparents were citizens. And so for us, it sucks, but we're like, yeah, we've been through this. And the Japanese American community is very supportive of immigrants
Mm.
because we know what it's like to bear the brunt of hatred of a nation. So coming out of that, unfortunately, my parents who were born in those camps, they were shook, and I think they were raised to feel ashamed of their Japanese heritage, and so they didn't lean into it. I didn't grow up speaking Japanese. It's a hard language.
Mm,
Um, I didn't grow up eating a lot of Japanese food, or observing any Japanese traditions.
yeah.
So my parents gravitated to Christianity because that was like a foothold into the greater American culture. What better way to prove you're American than to go to a predominantly white Christian church?
Yeah.
And so when I was a young kid, they converted. Some neighbors invited them to a Bible study, and suddenly we're going to church. And it was fun. Church when you're little is there's some songs and some
Yeah.
nice stories about Jesus who loves you, and it just kind of ramps up in intensity as we go, right? And now you got to dedicate yourself to Jesus who died for you, and you don't want to go to
Mm,
hell. And so I have a younger brother. We were all in. We were good Christian kids,
yeah.
completely forsaking our identities as Japanese Americans and just trying to be good Americans. And yeah, it made for it made for a confusing childhood. I
Yeah.
grew up in a mostly black neighborhood, and it that was cool. But I kind of thought I was black when I was like, 2 to 5. Um, Moved to an all-white neighborhood, and they put me in special ed because I talked funny to the white people who had never ever spoken to a Japanese American before.
Oh,
So they assumed I was I don't know what it's called in Australia, but special ed, for the special
yeah.
kids who
Yeah.
with special educational needs.
Yeah.
Um, Shocked the hell out of them when I tested into the gifted program.
Way to confuse them.
Yeah, no, it fucked up their heads. They were just like, what? This little Japanese kid talking like a little black kid of the 70s now is smart.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
but yeah, so going to church, going to a pretty predominantly white school from that point on, really shaped my youth and early adulthood.
what flavor what flavor of Christianity were you in?
Oh, good question. It was evangelical. Technically, the church I grew up in was called a congregational church. It's a
Okay.
denomination,
Yeah.
which all I know about it is it just you have to like have 12 committees decide on anything the church is going to do.
Yeah.
Um, it was kind of a proto mega church. It was like the big church in the area. My parents rose up in the ranks as, the first Asian American people to be like deaconesses and deacons and
Yeah.
things like that. I was like, weirdly, I never felt like I completely belonged because there weren't very many Asian kids. There were
Mm.
a couple, but I taught myself how to play guitar so I could be on the worship team because I knew
Oh.
that's the way in.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how
peak.
yeah. Oh yeah. I should have known better, but I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna go for that because I started listening to music, and
Mm,
luckily my parents didn't grow up Christian, so they didn't have restrictions on music, so I could listen to whatever I wanted.
yeah.
And I listened to Van Halen, I was like, oh shit, I gotta play guitar because that's amazing. And
Yeah.
if I tell my parents I'm playing the guitar to be on the worship team, they'll be cool.
Mm.
And so I
Not to
did.
mention that getting on the worship team is like signed, sealed, delivered of like church life. Like you're in if you're on the worship team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I joined like a Christian garage band. And at this point we're in like the early mid 80s.
Yeah.
And Christian rock is sort of in its I guess it was a heyday. It was developing in the 70s, but um I did my best. I knew instinctively I had to out white people
Yeah.
if I was going to be successful in it. So I couldn't just be a good guitar player. I had to be the best. And I played baseball, which is a sport here in America. And it was like America's pastime. And I played
Yeah.
basketball, and I knew I just couldn't be good. I had to be the best. And I wasn't great at sports. I was pretty good, but
Yeah.
I have kind of a musical ear. And so music came easily to me.
Yeah.
And that was my way in.
Mm.
And it didn't exactly get me, all the way to the top. It
Mm.
gave me entrance though. So
Yeah.
I didn't have to feel bad about being there. I didn't have to be ashamed um, of what I look like compared to everybody else.
Yeah. Were you aware of that overcompensating at the time, or is that something that you look back on and you can see that now?
Yeah, I think it was instinctive. I don't think I sat there and thought, okay, here's the power dynamics or the
Yeah.
hierarchy of things. I just knew I'm not white.
Mm.
Everyone knew I wasn't white. And I think I was just trying to be white,
Yeah.
you know, to overcome my hair and face and eyes,
Yeah.
and yeah, it makes me sad when I think about it now. But
Mm.
luckily, I had friends who were white and black and Latino and Asian,
Mm.
and we all saw each other, and we knew we weren't going to be like the cool kids. But we had our own little subculture, kids who were in orchestra and marching band. Uh, we weren't on the football team or we
Yeah.
weren't the heroes of the school, but we had our own little subculture and I think that really helped.
Yeah.
Some of and I realized my best friends were women, were girls at the time.
Yeah.
And and that really helped as I sort of transitioned through college and did InterVarsity Christian Fellowship and led worship there too, because I had to
Hmm.
go and conquer.
Yeah.
Um, I told myself I was doing it all for the Lord. This is all just for Jesus. It's
Yeah.
not me, it's Jesus. And
Yeah.
in actuality, it was me.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't practice until his fingers bled and learn how to sing and play guitar. And
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I told people, well, Jesus helped me, but
Mhm.
I don't think Jesus helped me at all, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like your own personal faith, who was God to you during that teenage years? And at what point did it move from this is the faith of my family to this is my faith?
yeah, well, it from an early age, probably from like age 12 on, I was all in. I was super
Mm.
Christian, and so it
Yeah.
was mine. It was my, I felt like I understood it better than my parents, who really only tackled Christianity on a very surface level. And they're to this day, they're still alive in their 80s,
Yeah.
have a very simple faith, and I'm starting to read like C.S. Lewis when I'm younger, and I'm reading like Bible concordances and dictionaries and studying and shit, and I zipped past them. Like they had no idea, about theology, and I,
Yeah.
I started being critical of our church growing up because the theology was very weak. And in truth, all of evangelical theology is pretty weak. It
Yeah.
doesn't, there's not a lot of basis to it. They make fun of Catholics, but Catholics can tell you exactly why they believe what they believe,
Yeah.
chapter and verse in the Bible, thousands of years of development of theology. But evangelicals is just like, well, it's what the Holy Spirit tells me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, what if the Holy Spirit's telling someone else something different?
Hmm.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So it weirdly, this term deconstruction, I think I started deconstructing early on as I was really seeking answers
Mm.
that I wasn't finding. The answers I always got was like, oh, you'll have to ask God when you get to heaven.
Mm. That old
Like,
chestnut.
yeah. That works on a 12-year-old. It doesn't work as well when you're like 17 or 18.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, and
It's either
so,
that or
yeah.
God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we can't understand the wisdom of the Lord. We
Yeah.
mortal humans.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I think I always thought, well, the answers are there. I mean,
Mm.
he wouldn't put us in this life on this planet and not have answers to these very basic questions.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I got through college and I became a writer and eventually an English professor.
Mm.
Landed a job at a evangelical university. I always put the quotes up because it there's no way in hell it should have been a university. It was
Yeah.
like a Sunday school that gave out degrees.
Right.
Um, I mean, they tried. So I taught in the English department, but there's a science department that doesn't believe in science. That's the world is 6,000 years old, that
Yes.
kind of thing. I don't know how you get accredited.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of other people talk about the same about some other pretty prominent Christian and um, Mormon universities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And my university called itself, like the most preeminent evangelical university. It was called Azusa Pacific. Um, and yeah, it wasn't because
Yeah.
I went to a state school, one of the finest state schools in the country, and going from that environment to a Christian educational environment is like,
Mm.
wait, how is it possible that they give the same degrees?
Yeah.
Because there's no way kids going through 4 years of this university got anything close to what I got at just a state school,
Yeah.
and not just science, but everything, English, history, whatever they're teaching is through the lens of Jesus and a very simple Bible view, and
Yeah. So how did
it
you
doesn't
land
work.
there?
Well, I was still kind of Christian, so I got married in the 90s,
Kind of
and
Christian? I love that.
I was hanging on. In my mind, my faith was evolving, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing that, like, as a Christian, so I grew up very conservative. Gay people are evil and they want to kill
Mm.
us, and literally would. And I meet gay people in college.
Mm.
Oh shit, they're just people.
Yeah, we're actually very boring people at our core.
Yeah. Well, you run the gamut just like anyone. These are dumb things that I had to like come to realize. And now I have gay friends. And what do I do?
Yeah.
Um, I love these people very much. I'm still friends to some of them to this day.
Yeah.
And I had to change my theology because what I was taught was not matching with what I was seeing and experiencing.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, well, I just understand God better. God doesn't hate, because, 2 weeks prior, God hated gay people. And now God loves gay people. And it's just
Yeah.
like, and you go through all these changes and you realize, is God me?
Yeah.
Because it's weird how he keeps changing as I keep changing.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think at the time about all of, like, I call them mental gymnastics with my
Yeah.
clients, like the mental gymnastics that we play to make shit make sense that doesn't make sense. Um,
Yeah.
but if you had known that, like, that's all you had known up until that point, what did that feel like to go through all of those mental gymnastics?
It's tiring.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the mental gymnastics. I was trying to stick the landing after a triple axel,
Yeah.
theologically speaking. I
Yeah.
was like, because I'm still like, the answers are out there. I believe in this wholeheartedly.
Mm.
But the more I studied the Bible, the less it made sense to
Yeah.
me. And so yeah. And then I think you asked earlier about, my racial understanding.
Mm.
God was white.
Yeah.
God was never Asian or black, or
Mm.
God was white. I do this exercise when I do public speaking. So a quick story, when I was
Mm.
leading worship in InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, we had a pastor come speak to our chapter, and he was from this church called the Vineyard, which is very charismatic. I
Yeah, we
think
have
that's the
vineyard
word.
churches in Australia.
Okay, so you got
Yeah.
those. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky you. Um, I was raised believing that speaking in church was bullshit, but okay, so this we do the service, and the guy speaks, and I don't even remember what he said, but afterward, we're cleaning up and milling around, and he comes up to me and he's like, "You have the gift of worship,
Mm.
because I saw an angel of worship on your head while you were singing."
Right.
And it kind of freaked me out
Yeah.
because,
My first instinct is that's not creepy at all.
yeah, because is a little angel standing on my head, or is it like straddling my head, or just sort of hovering?
Yeah.
Because they said on your head, and I was just like, how does that work? But the
Mm.
thing now, years later, decades later, I was telling the story because it's a funny story,
Mm.
and I realized I was still picturing a white angel.
Ah,
I
yeah.
wasn't picturing an Asian. I think the assumption is there's no way an Asian angel would be the angel of worship. The Asian angel is the angel of accounting, of physics. You know,
Yeah.
the Asian angels are the worker bees of the angel world, I assume, because the white angels are the cool ones. They get to be the angels of worship, and
Mm-hmm.
and so I do this I do this little exercise with people like you all were picturing a white angel, weren't you? Even though on my Asian ass head,
Yeah.
it's still a white angel.
Yeah.
It's um and to this day, yeah, if I say angel, white, blonde
Yeah, I was about to
probably,
say white,
blue
blonde.
eyes,
Yes. Yeah. That very
fair skin.
stereotypical image that comes to mind in the same way that I think for a lot of people, the stereotypical image of God is like this old white man with a beard sometimes, like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
The beard's
all
important.
yes.
It's
Yeah, makes him intelligent,
more
obviously.
gravitas. Yeah.
Oh,
So anyway,
yeah.
so I'm at APU now and Azusa Pacific,
Yeah.
barely hanging on to my faith. I'm just like, but I figured if I'm going to a quote unquote preeminent Christian university,
Yeah.
I'll get the answers, and I liked teaching there. I related so hard to these kids who are 18 and trying so hard to
Mm,
figure out how to live their faith. Because at this point, I had lived in San Francisco and San Diego, and those were very eye-opening experiences.
mm,
Um, and I was bringing this sort of real-world perspective to my English classes.
mm.
And my students, by and large, we all got along great. There was always like the 1 or 2% that thought I was just pure evil because I would make them think, what's money? Jesus says this
Yeah.
about money. You all rolled up in your Mercedes that your dad bought you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is is this okay? Can Christians, you know, and I never told them yes or no, but I was like, you should be asking these questions. What
Yeah.
about gay kids? We didn't have the trans conversation yet because at this point, this is like the late 90s.
Mm,
That came later.
yeah.
But we would read a story out of the Norton anthology with gay characters, and I would just ask, because we're supposed to ask, we're supposed to, apply
Mm-hmm.
Christianity. I think it's called faith integration.
Mm-hmm.
If this is your neighbor, how are you treating him?
Mm. Yeah.
They hated that question because they're like, well,
Yeah.
I guess we have to love them, but I don't want them around my
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
Like, do you hear yourselves?
Mm,
Do you know any gay people?
yeah.
Like, they just, in their minds, there's like, I don't know what was in their minds. Actually, I do know what was in mind because it was in my mind when
The
I went
stock
to
standard
college.
answer, right?
Yeah, these
Yeah.
fire-breathing,
Yeah.
sulfur-smelling people that want to destroy humanity is how it
Mm-hmm.
was couched.
Yeah.
Um, fun fact, I grew up about 7 houses down from James Dobson.
Oh shit.
Yeah, shit, exactly. My parents were friends
Whatever
with
wants
him.
that to you don't want to rep that. Like oh gosh. But I mean, like in terms of like the kids not wanting you to ask the questions, my first instinct goes like if you've been raised to always have the answer, why do you need to ask the questions, right? Like
Yeah,
it's why
yeah,
questions feel so uncomfortable because you've never had to ask them. You've always just been given the answer.
yeah, yeah. And they would say things like I got in trouble on average every semester at that school for 15 years. The most common complaint was I came to this school to not have professors like Professor Okamoto.
Oh my
And they would say
gosh.
things, I'm sure he'd be great at like UCLA or USC, but not here. We don't want to think about these things. We want our faith reflected back to us and affirmed. We
In
don't
the
want it
same way that we give it
challenged.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to just nod and say, yes, good Christian answer, when they say something racist or they say something
Yeah.
homophobic, and I'm like, well, hold on. Because there's faith traditions that aren't necessarily homophobic or
Hmm.
try not to be racist
Hmm.
or patriarchal,
Yeah.
but it was rough. So by 2004,
Did you say you
uh,
stayed there for 15 years?
yeah,
Holy
yeah,
dooly. That is a
Okay, well,
really long amount of time to stay in that environment. And
yeah,
like,
so I wrote a book about it to explain it.
yeah,
But yeah, so within 5 years, I'm pretty sure I don't remember the exact moment, but within 5 years, I was like, I don't even know if I believe in God at this
yeah,
point. My students were like, "Why don't we ever pray in class? You know, my history teacher prays and my math teacher prays. Well, why don't you?" And I realized
mm,
I don't see the point. You know, like we're an accredited college. You guys don't know what a noun is. Like we don't have time. You know, pray before and after class. You know, but
yeah,
we got shit to do. You know, you're paying a lot of money to get this degree, and I'm your English professor, and I don't want to spend 10 minutes going around sharing prayer requests
mhm,
and then spending time praying.
yeah,
Um, we have 55 minutes to teach you the English language and
hmm,
how to write it
yeah,
or how to read it, and if it's a literature class. And so, but I realized it was after the second George Bush election.
hmm,
I was like, I don't want to even be associated with Christianity. It was like
yeah,
it's unintelligent, it's uncaring,
mm,
it's everything that I was. It's completely opposite of everything I was taught that
mm,
Christianity was. So if this is Christianity now, I
mm.
want nothing to do with it. And within several months of that, I was like, I, I don't like the Bible anymore, and I don't think I believe in God. And then they gave me a full-time job.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. But what was that moment like where you actually consciously realized, oh, I don't think I believe in God anymore?
It was kind of freeing,
Mm,
weirdly,
yeah,
because I had been doing the theological gymnastics
yeah,
at this point for 15 years,
mm,
just trying to find the answers, trying this book will help me, or this, you know, preacher, or this, intellectual will,
yeah,
will satisfy the answers that I was looking for.
mm,
And none did.
mm,
I got really good at like hanging out with my friends in the theology department
mm,
and asking them questions and making them fight because none of them agreed on how to answer things like, theodicy, the suffering, and
yeah,
does God cause it? You know,
mm-hmm,
I started teaching right after the Columbine incident
uh,
in Colorado, the first big, televised school
mm-hmm,
shooting.
yes,
And so I would ask my students, if God is in complete control, as you keep saying,
mm,
did he make that happen? Is that part of his plan?
mm. That is a much better question than the question I got asked, which was, if someone had a gun to your head, would you renounce Jesus?
Yeah. And that
Like,
story ended up being false. That didn't even
yeah,
happen.
I know.
Apparently the girl's parents made it up. And, it's like, uh,
Wild.
because I already knew. So the answer to that question is you say no, because God knows your heart and you got shit to do on this. He put you here for a reason. You want to
Hmm,
stick around. Who cares what they think? You believe
hmm.
in God? No. Okay,
Yeah,
don't shoot me so I can go on and be a good I thought about this in high school. I was like, when
yeah,
if someone's going to threaten you, like, yeah, you lie because you got to still witness to your friends. And if you're not
hmm,
there because you said yes to a
yeah.
stupid question from someone you don't even care about.
Hmm. But it's
So,
another one of those examples where you feel like you can't win because if you say yes, it's the wrong answer, and if you say no, it's the
yeah,
wrong answer. And so you are in that binded place where you can never win no matter what
no,
you say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's a terrible, it's, like those ethical,
Mm,
quizzes people give. They're so
yeah,
contrived and they're not based in any reality.
yeah,
If some homicidal maniac is just killing people, it's not about the conversation.
yeah,
It's not that determines whether someone lives or dies. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I don't think they actually want to know the answer. It's
No.
like, It's
Yeah.
like, oh, why do you want to? Can I tell you about Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior? And
Yeah.
uh, no, it's just great bad people. So
Yeah. So how
yeah,
did you stay there for another decade?
yeah,
Now that
that's
especially now you've got this conscious thought, I don't know that I believe in the Bible, I think, and I don't even know that I believe in God, and yet another decade teaching at a Christian university.
yeah. I I made a promise to myself that if I stayed, I would never try to like de-Christianize anyone.
Mm,
I knew how to help them be better Christians,
yeah.
be more caring,
Mm,
be more intellectual about, logos.
hmm
I knew how to do this job and I felt like I could do it well. Now, the reason I stayed, because I turned down another job, which I regret to this day. It would have changed the course of my life
Yeah.
significantly. But I thought, I'm going to stay here because we just started an Asian club that had never happened before. And these
Oh,
poor kids were just lost. They were getting so much racism, so much
yeah.
demand for them to deny their identities, and just, be normal was what they're always told. Don't talk
Yeah.
about being Chinese or Vietnamese or Korean. And so I really had a heart for these kids, and we were just starting to like the club was just starting to get its footing.
Yeah.
And I felt like if I left, it was gonna just crumble.
Mm,
We also a bunch of kids had started an completely illegal underground LGBTQ club and asked me to be their advisor, even though it was not an
mm,
official school organization.
yeah.
And that was just starting to take off. And I was like, I can stay here and help these kids foment mini revolutions and have a real college experience.
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with those kids. They're like pushing 40 now, today. I still see them. We're on social media.
Mm,
Um, we're in activist and art spaces together. And and I don't regret staying for
yeah.
them. It ended up costing me my job eventually working with them, but
Yeah.
um, I don't regret it at
Yeah.
all.
I mean, ironically, at the point that you consciously are aware that you no longer believe in God or are a Christian in that moment, you do actually a really, really Christian thing to do, which, like, even the language of like having a heart for them, like, you know,
Yeah.
that selfless nature that you get taught to put others before yourself is, that's like an actual Christian example.
Oh
The
no.
irony.
The irony. Yeah, and that part of Christianity I still admire. I don't
Yeah.
see it. I don't see it a lot here in America. Christians
Yeah.
these days are more likely to be, foaming at the mouth for people to be put in cages and separated from their families and
Yeah.
or bombed in Gaza. Like they're cheering for this shit. It's like
Yeah.
Christianity. There's still true believers who are out there, but man, the brand has really been taken over by
Yeah.
very hateful, angry, and ignorant uh, people. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I don't miss that. I don't.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that really helped me in my disbelief,
Mm.
my apostasy, um, was when I moved back to the Los Angeles area. I started getting involved with an Asian American arts and activist space
Mm.
because I was really thirsty for that. I dabbled in my identity in college and living in San Francisco, but I had never really been in a community that was predominantly Asian American.
Mm.
And those people, I swapped those people for my church friends
Yeah.
gradually over time. And so by the time I had realized I don't want to be a Christian anymore, I had a whole community of people of chosen family
Mm.
um, who were queer, who were immigrants, and who were white and black and Americans. very diverse people who figured it out, who knew how to be community,
Yeah.
value things like art and music and political activism to support people who are being marginalized. And so, you talk to a lot of people who deconstruct, and it's a terrifying journey, right? Because
Yep.
you realize one day I don't want to do this, but all my friends and family are in this space, and if I reject that, I'm casting myself out of my people, my comfort zone, my family. For me, I had just slowly swapped those people out over like 5 or 6 years, and so I just went straight into the arms of my people, and
Yeah.
so I was seen as the guy on the inside who was teaching Christians to be better Christians,
Mm.
which I still think if Christians could just go back to following Jesus, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Jesus anymore,
Mm.
but Christianity is not going to go away. It
Yeah.
just keeps changing, right? It keeps even the Christ. I used to teach Shakespeare. The Christianity of the Shakespearean era looked nothing like Christianity today.
Yeah.
The greatest sin of that era was usury, which is what we have built our faith on now. That making money with money and charging
Hmm.
interest is capitalism, and
Yeah.
that's like the first tenet of Christianity these days. Which
Hmm.
would have been a mortal sin back 400 or 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, it just keeps changing and it's not going anywhere. But Christianity does its best when it's really focusing on, I think, Jesus and the teachings, which are
Hmm.
kind of Buddhist. Um,
It's true, but
but
yeah.
we don't want to tell them that. It's no,
No,
no, good. That's
I'll get pissed
Jesus.
off
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah.
Um,
The Beatitudes totally cribs from like Buddhist teachings. It's like,
yeah.
um, but okay, no, fine. You can have it. We're not going to quibble over that.
Yeah. I mean, what impact did no longer, identifying with Christianity have on your relationships and your family? And like you said that you were married at this point, like, was that difficult within your own home?
It wasn't. My wife and I, when we were dating, we just made it a point to always figure things out together.
Mm.
And so one of the first things we did as a couple, as a dating couple, when we were like 19 years old, was to say, we love our gay friends. What does the Bible actually say? And we literally would get together and do like a word study
Yeah.
on all the parts of the Bible that mention something about, what homosexuality. And we realized most of them don't talk remotely about homosexuality.
No.
Um, they were badly translated, right?
Mm.
Um, and the ones that do are very contextual. Like you
Mhm.
can't if you're gonna like ditch all of Leviticus except for that one thing. Is that really
Talk about
do
cherry picking.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't follow any of that shit, but
Mm.
but that one we're gonna hang on to. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one that's still good.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think because we started our relationship in a sort of subversive Christian manner to say, we're not just gonna take what they tell us at face value. We're gonna like
Mm.
question it.
Mm.
It was it was my wife, her name's Jerry. She gave me the first Bart Ehrman book, which was like the
Oh,
last straw. It was
yeah.
like, oh shit, the Bible is even worse than I imagined, as far
Yeah.
as like historicity and accuracy and it's how many contradictions there are. And so but weirdly, we ended up in an Episcopalian church. We call that the last stop of the journey of faith.
Yeah.
Um, because I liked the fact that I ended my church life sitting in pews next to like gay families, and diverse people, and people who were praying for President George Bush, even though they didn't like him.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where like I don't know why I'm here. Like,
Mm.
love these are nice people,
Yeah.
but there's a million other things I'd rather be doing with my Sunday, and um, it was like, yeah.
Mm,
Cool. So I'm glad those it's the good Episcopalians, the ones that
yeah.
um that went with the, ordaining gay
Mm,
people to be uh I think it's called priests. See,
mm,
we weren't there that long. It was fun. It was fun to do the what do you call it? The standing and sitting and kneeling and
oh, yes.
the-
I don't know the
yeah.
technical term anymore.
Yeah. Because I grew up in, the Jesus is my brother, my bro who goes
Yes.
surfing and eats tacos and
Best friend.
his personal relationship,
Yeah.
and this was more like this awe and reverence and mystery
Yeah.
of God. And that was great.
Yeah.
it was a different experience, and it was just like, yeah, and I don't need it anymore.
It is a
Um,
really common bridge that a lot of people take, though, to move more into a progressive space. And I think it is just, it's from a therapy point of view, my brain goes like that's us trying to help our nervous system adjust from, one
yeah.
space to another. And, not having that bridge is also, deeply traumatizing to people to just
Mm.
be falling out of a space that was their absolute everything. And so having that bridge is often a really beautiful soft landing out of the church for a lot of people.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends still are there. A
Yeah.
lot of my friends from college and my in our life in our 20s um still go to a church like that, and great, God bless them. It's like
Yeah.
um and we're still friends. We see the world the same, but it was important for them to hold on to the faith part.
Mm,
I think because I never felt like I fully belonged
mm,
in church because I didn't go to Asian churches. I always went to like predominantly white churches,
mm,
and I think in doing so, I never felt like fully vested in it. I never felt like fully accepted. And
mm,
so for me to let that go is not as big a deal. But for my white friends,
mm.
I don't think they can imagine life without it,
Yeah.
without having to get up on Sunday and go
Mm.
and do the Bible study. And
Yeah.
even though a lot of them don't believe it the same
Rituals are
anymore,
powerful.
right? And
Yeah.
so for them it was so meaningful, and it was to me too, but I never, like, again, I never felt 100% accepted, and
Yeah.
so it wasn't as hard to let go.
Yeah, what difference do you think it would have made had your parents landed you all in a predominantly Asian church when you were a child?
Yeah, I co-host a podcast called The Horny Chapel
Yeah.
um, with my friend Priska, who's Taiwanese American, and her father's a pastor,
Mm,
still is. And we ask ourselves this because I grew up in a predominantly white church. She grew up in an all Asian church.
yeah.
But we both exited around the same age. She's like 13 or 14 years younger than I am. But it was around the early 20s where we started to like, In fact, she left the faith lot earlier than I did,
Mm,
age-wise. And so for her, she said it was harder to leave, but it was also just really clear
mm,
in her journey.
yeah.
So yeah, I used to wonder, like, if I had grown up in an all Asian church, if I'd still be there, because I
Mm,
felt so connected to the culture.
mm,
But I think because I found an Asian American culture that was not religious,
mm,
that gave me so much support and love,
yeah.
um, and purpose, that yeah, I think that helped because I stayed embarrassingly long. I we were questioning everything in our 20s, and I stayed in Christianity until I was like 34,
Yeah.
as some form of Christianity.
Mm.
Um,
And you
so
hinted
yeah,
at the fact that you had lost your job at the university. And so how
yeah,
did that happen?
yeah. All the gory details are in the book, but
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. The the LGBT club
Mm,
started out as a secret underground thing because we all knew we could get kicked out if the school found out.
yeah.
They had already expelled students for not renouncing their gayness.
Mm,
And the the first couple generations, we would meet and we would and we would have support groups, and we would watch movies like For the Bible Tells Me So. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
Yeah.
Um, and it was great. We were just helping kids not be depressed and
Yeah.
helping kids who had been disowned have a sense of family,
Mm.
all secretive. But once a year, we would put on a show on campus called Art Night because we had, it was like, I call it the Ocean's 11 years. It was like we had students who were in student council, who worked in facilities management, who worked in the cafeteria. And so we all knew how to reserve a space on campus, reserve a PA,
Yeah.
reserve tables and chairs, and put on like a show where people are reading poetry and singing songs about queerness
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of campus. But we just called it Art Night. It was like an open secret. Now, a few years go by and the club is getting more popular and underground. My name is now, you can't keep this a secret,
Yeah.
My name is now associated with it in the school, and my boss finds out, my chair of my department.
Mm.
And he was supportive. He's like, I know, I know what you're doing, and I think it's great, but be careful
Mm.
because the board of trustees is horribly homophobic.
Yeah.
The most of the administration terribly homophobic.
Mm.
Um, so a few years go by, and the new kids now, whole new generation, because college ministry is tough because every year you're losing your leaders and new people are coming through. Oh, this next generation of kids were like, we need to have more faith that Jesus will protect us, and we're going to come out to the school and be a real school sanctioned organization. And I told them, absolutely not.
Yeah.
As your advisor, I don't want you to get in trouble. I like what we have here. We get to choose who comes talking to us, we get to choose what we talk about. We get to
Yeah.
choose our programming. If the school comes in, you're going to lose all that. And they basically booted me out because I didn't have enough faith.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they were right about that. I was no longer a Christian, but um, they're like
Technicality.
they saw me as old and out of touch, you know. So they start having meetings with the administration, and some people get kicked out and they get in trouble. And now we can't have events on campus anymore. And it was all a big, I told you so.
Yeah.
We eventually made peace and I came back in, but it was then that the administration was like, yeah, we got to talk because you can't do this.
Yeah.
And I kept doing it. I was like, I knew when the kids asked me to be involved, I knew this was a turning point.
Mm.
I didn't jump at the opportunity to work with these kids because I knew what was at stake. And I liked my job. I loved teaching English. I loved helping kids learn how to write and form arguments and find themselves in literature, and I thought this is the best job ever. And I love doing it in the setting because I know how they think and I can help them be better Christians. And the comment I got the most on my student evaluations was like, this really helped my faith taking this
Yeah.
class. And I felt great about that, and
Yeah.
but I knew that if I took this position with this club,
Yeah.
I knew what could happen. And so I had to think about it I think it was a couple days before I came back to them and said yes, because it's better to be underground and not,
Mm.
you know, I would give hints in my classes that I was, quote unquote affirming. I hate that word because
Yeah.
it's just it's the lowest bar, right?
Yeah.
But and so kids would come out to me, and that's how I got asked, the word got out that,
Mm.
Professor Okamoto doesn't hate gay kids. And most of the
Yeah.
professors did. And so as I got more associated with the club, and at this point the club is making like national headlines. We're attracting
Wow.
like um local Episcopalian
Mm.
priests are coming to talk to us. Mel White of Soul Force came and talked to us. Um and um yeah, eventually I got called in
Yeah.
2013 to be fired. But I teach argumentation, and the dean was not an intelligent man, and he was famous for like hauling in, like he really hated single women. He would bring them in and grill them to make sure they weren't lesbians and then they weren't, trying to steal someone's husband, that kind of
Yeah.
shit. Like he's
Yeah.
that guy.
Right.
And he's reading me the riot act of he's got this stack of complaints. Now here's the funny thing. Toward the end, I kind of knew the end was near. And
Yeah.
when the students would get their student evaluations to fill out about me, I would tell I would tell them, yeah, just write Okamoto's evil and I wrote things on the board. Like Okamoto thinks the school is totally wrong and he's right and Okamoto is evil and Satan. And these smart ass kids would write this on my student evaluations. And most of them were writing really nice things, but a few of them are like, "Oh hell yeah, that's hilarious," and they would write this.
Yeah.
So I sit down at this meeting, and the dean is holding this stack of papers, like, "I got you now," and he
Mm.
starts reading off these things that I had told them to write, and
Yeah.
I started laughing, and he turned bright red. There was like a vein like popping out of his forehead, and he's like, "Do you think this is funny?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I do." I didn't want to go into it, because
Yeah.
I was like, all right, if I'm going out, fuck it. I'm gonna tell him everything I've ever wanted to tell him to his
Yeah.
face. And I unleashed, 15 years of you're on the wrong side of history. You know,
Mm.
you will not be remembered well for how you treat Black students, how you treat Latino students, how you treat Asian students, how you treat women, and especially how you treat LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
Um, you treat your professors badly. This is a joke school. You're not. I had
Let
an
him
outer
have
body
it.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he is just like, you know, no, I don't think anyone ever like stood up to him because he liked being that guy that scared people.
Mm.
And he sat there and he's like, well, in light of what you've said, I guess I'm not going to fire you, but you'll be on probation. You can still teach here. So I go home and my wife is like, I was like, I still have a job. And she's like, why in the hell would you want to go back there
Yeah.
after everything you've been through? And, I'm lucky because my wife's a dentist and, I made an okay salary, but,
Mm.
she made more. And we had three kids who were very young. And
Yeah.
she's like, you, you'll be more useful
Mm.
to this family if
Mm.
you just quit and be a stay-at-home dad for a few years because we've got three kids. At that time, we had
Yeah.
three kids at three different schools. It's a lot of lunches to make and places to drive kids. I became the Uber driver and the
Mm.
cook.
I mean, how
And
non-complementarian of your family. I mean, Mark
yeah.
Driscoll would have a field day with that
Oh God,
statement.
yeah. No, I would have to defend myself.
Oh my goodness. I mean, and I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because there are a lot of people out there who would not have risked their career to be that advisor for that
Yeah.
group.
Yeah,
And
there were a lot of professors that would
yeah,
tell me like if I could do what you're doing, I would. But
yeah,
I'm the sole breadwinner of this family and I can't afford to lose this job.
yeah.
Because once you start teaching, it's like porn
Mm-hmm.
was for actors. As soon as you do porn, you're not going to get hired on the regular. So as soon as you're teaching at
Yeah,
Azusa Pacific for a number of years, no respectful university is going to hire you.
yeah,
You got to go find another Christian school because you're marked as
yeah,
kind of a dumbass. You're teaching in a joke of an educational environment.
yeah,
And so they knew they're not going to find another job, a tenure. Actually, APU didn't have tenure. They're not going to find a long-term position at a real school.
yeah,
And so they couldn't take,
yeah,
I could. I was like, it was a calculated risk, but I was like, I'm privileged.
yeah.
Um, I can do this.
There's also a lot of silent, and I'm going to do this in quotation, like silent affirming, pastors and church leaders and faith leaders out there who also have the same privilege and still choose not to take that risk.
Sure.
And so, why did you? Why was it important to you?
Yeah, a lot of reasons, but I one of them was back in college. I was in the leadership for InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, which is a college, ministry.
Mm,
Um, and one of the other leaders came to me and basically came out to me.
mm,
And I was already deconstructing that part of it, but I gave her the standard Christian line of, well, you should pray that God will take it away. I hated it. And as soon as I started talking, I saw her face
yeah,
and I knew I was fucking up. I knew as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was saying the wrong thing that
yeah,
was just so deeply programmed in me as a Christian leader.
yeah,
And I never saw her again. I never um she quit InterVarsity. I think she may have dropped out of school. If she didn't, it's a big school. She may not have. But
yeah,
I think just remembering her face uh for the rest to this day
yeah,
um has motivated me to not be that guy, if I can help people, because she was suffering, she was really upset because she realized she was gay, she's a lesbian and she didn't want to be. And I think she knew that I was pretty open-minded, and I think she was hoping that I would like encourage her, and I should have. I should have gave her a hug and told her, awesome, how great that you figured this out.
yeah.
And I was a total asshole, you know, well-intentioned, but an asshole nonetheless.
Well
And
conditioned.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I think, and I've said terrible things to other people, as a Christian, Christian brother or a Christian leader.
yeah,
And I think a lot of it doesn't determine everything about me as an adult, but I think I've always wanted to make amends for that. And when I can, to help people who are struggling. And if you
mm,
go to a Christian school like that and you're not white, you're not straight,
yeah,
you're struggling. You're facing daily attacks on your very identity.
mm,
And I hate that. I'm like, that makes me so angry and it breaks my heart. And so I think that's why I gravitated to this Asian American arts and activism space, because that's what they do, is they're looking out for people who are marginalized or oppressed,
yeah,
and forming a community that supports people and tries to make change and helps people. And
yeah.
so it got so when the kids asked me if I would be involved with their club, I think I knew immediately that I was going to, but it was just like, oh, I love this job and I just got full time and
Mm,
it could cost me, but there was just no way I could say no. I after everything that I'd been through and
yeah,
the things that I had screwed up, like here was my chance to do the right thing, you
mm,
know. And I think there was a part of me that thought this is gonna be fine. It'll work out. I'll have a long career here,
yeah,
and it'll be great. And maybe, but I
yeah,
also knew, but maybe not. And so, but as time went on,
mm,
it became more and more clear that yeah, there's no way I'm staying here. It's
yeah.
yeah,
And so, what did unpacking, I guess, your faith of origin, that deconstruction that I feel like never really ends because life changes
yeah,
and we gain new information every day. But, I'm sort of thinking, you said 2013, so we're mid 2010s, and the US took an interesting turn at that point around
in
that window of time.
2016, yeah,
Yes, yeah. And so, like, what did that unpacking and that deconstructing look like as you started to see a lot of this play out in like grandiose ways?
yeah. No, it just confirmed for
Yeah.
me because back in 2013 there was the internet and there was Twitter, but there was no like evangelical
Mm,
deconstruction groups. There was no podcasts.
yeah.
There's no new evangelicals or name your big name people that can guide you
Mm,
through deconstruction.
yeah.
So it was a very private decision and a quiet one. There was no support.
Mm,
And so I think weirdly, I think that helped. Not, and I'm not saying anything bad about, I do a podcast, you do a
mm,
podcast.
yeah.
Um, and I think that helps people.
Mm,
But for me and the people that sort of left the faith around that same time that I know, uh, it was just we have to just quit cold turkey,
mm,
like, and just cut all ties and not look back.
yeah.
So watching all, first it was the Tea Party and then there was Trump
Yeah.
and QAnon and here we are today. Uh it's just it's a little sad for me because that's not even what I left. I left
Mm,
a Christianity that was still trying to be caring.
yeah.
Uh and still I left, like if I hadn't left then, I would have surely left then, when Trump hit the scene, like
Yeah.
but I left at a time when there wasn't support for that, and so that actually made me ignore pretty much everything. Like people I know who are I'm friends with who do podcasts and have deconstructed. They'll always say, "Oh, do you know? Oh, this pastor so and so," and I'm like, "Who's that?" And they're like, "You
Mm,
don't know that past?" I'm like, guys, I don't know shit about Christian culture from like I quit Christian music in the 90s when I was still a Christian because like this blows, man. Like I'm a musician and this sucks. And
yeah.
so I didn't know who the Newsboys were. I've learned
Oh.
since. I like Five Iron Frenzy. They're kind of a good
uh,
band. Um I can't even name other ones. Like
Casting
s-
Crowns, Mercy
heard of
Me.
them.
Yeah.
Skillet?
Yeah, Skillet, they're the heavy metal Christian band.
Yeah.
And then you went into like your Hillsong era where it was very much like
Oh
and
God, just worship
um
music.
yeah, and Leland and things like that. Yeah.
I'm really glad I missed all that
Yeah.
actually.
You didn't miss a whole lot and they get stuck in your head and you can't get them out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of music,
Yeah.
it's music's music, but
Uh,
not all of it was terrible. It's just
mm,
I just decided like I'm out. I'm listening to like Miles Davis at this point and
mm,
classical music and jazz and progressive rock and
yeah.
I still like U2 and that was
Mm,
like a holdover.
yeah.
But U2 used to be cool for all the young people listening, in the 80s. They weren't the corporate shills and pseudo liberal old guys that they are now. Like they were young and they were cool. They were like a
Yeah.
band, like they
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, watching all that happen is just yeah. I'm like
Yeah.
wow. I don't have words for it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it helps. So when I came back to the evangelical thing, and I met um Blake Chastain through
Mm,
like social media
mm,
and joined like a little face or Twitter group. And I was like, do I really want to go back and talk about this? Because I haven't talked about this for like 10, 15 years at this point.
yeah.
And I didn't want to.
Yeah, I
But I
don't
was trying
blame
to
you.
like, but people had questions and I had answers. I've been here. I pulled myself out of this shit with no help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn it, I still want to help people.
Yeah.
And so, and I knew I wanted to write this book, and so like I
Mm,
needed to find my people now who are also ex-Christian,
mm,
ex-evangelical. Some of them are still Christian.
yeah.
So, there I am, and now I
Mm,
have a podcast, and
yeah.
I've been doing my podcast called Chapel Probation for like 3 years now, and
Hmm.
150 episodes. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah. It's wild, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only pushing at about 18 months, but I think you will probably be, by the time it comes out, my like 80th episode or 85th
Woohoo!
episode or something. Yeah.
Hell yeah!
So, but it's it's a cool experience, and I love one of the questions that I love asking people because it's like I get the most diverse answers asking this, which is, what do you think about spirituality now, and how do you relate to it? Do you have you just like thrown it in the bin, or have you found something brand new for yourself?
I haven't found anything specific, but I'm also I don't identify as atheist
Yeah.
because I can't buy into anything that expresses a certainty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, atheists are certain that there's no God or
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing out there. Uh, no, the world is too weird and mysterious and
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
to lay any claim of certainty. You know, when I was a Christian, I knew I had to be certain about
Yeah.
my faith. What the Bible says is absolutely true, and it's historical and it's scientific, and
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, it sure wasn't. And
None of those things.
yeah, and I think letting go of certainty
Yeah.
prevents me from being an atheist
Mm.
because I mean, I don't know that there's a sky god or I don't know if Jesus even existed,
Yeah.
but I see the value of looking beyond what we can see.
Mm.
And I think I've made my peace with the idea that there's mystery, that
Yeah.
we don't even like scientists can't even tell us what's in sand, you know, dirt.
Mm. Yeah.
We don't know, we still don't know what's the bottom of the ocean or what's out in space, you know. I love that. And I think letting go of certainty is so freeing. And, life can just be a mystery and
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen. It's terrifying because, bad things can happen at any moment, and they do.
Yeah.
Um, but when good things happen, when someone stands up for someone else, when someone does the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
I cry because it's
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing, and it's like
Yeah.
it's something to live for, that hope.
Yeah.
I don't have hope for Christianity. I don't have hope for America at the moment.
Yeah.
I had to let these things go. I have hope for my friends, my relationships,
Mm.
my chosen family, my family,
Yeah.
and the people that I interact with. Like talking to you
Mm.
gives me hope.
Yeah.
And the work, and I've listened to some episodes. You've interviewed some people that I've interviewed,
Yeah.
and those conversations are so powerful because
Mm.
when we tell our stories to each other and we listen and we compare and contrast our experiences, that gives us information and perspective and context that we face the world with. And so we know we're not alone in our struggles and our traumas.
Yeah.
And we also know we're not identified by them specifically either. They're
Yeah.
part of us, but we get to decide
Mm.
who we associate with and who we build lives with and who we build community with.
Yeah.
And that kind of mystery has been such a great replacement for me for fundamentalist Christianity.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I wake up every day so thankful that I have the people in my life that I have.
Mm.
And it's just worked out. I get to play music and make money um, because I write music for the Axis Mundi's podcast with Brad
Yeah.
Onishi of Straight White
Mm-hmm.
American Jesus. Um, Big shout out to Brad Onishi.
Yeah.
He's an amazing person, and we've built this company that puts out podcasts that really push back against Christian nationalism. So I get to work in this space, and I get to be creative, and I get to have my community. I could get hit by a meteor tomorrow, but I feel like I've been so lucky, and I have kids that I love, and they love me, and I'm married, and like it's just like for everything that I feel like I was denied as a kid, as a boy, as a Japanese American, and trying to be a Christian,
Mm.
um, I just can't be anything but thankful for the way things have turned out.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a beautiful response. And I think it is a really nice lead in to which is what I always finish these episodes asking, which is what would you say to someone who is fresh in all of this? They're fresh in their deconstruction. They've just left their church. They've just realized don't believe in God anymore. And shit has hit the fan emotionally for them. What would you say to that person?
Oh, so much. It gets better,
Mm,
and but it takes work.
yeah,
It We have to decolonize from the systems that are so deeply programmed in us,
yeah.
whether it's whiteness.
Hmm.
And I always say there's nothing wrong with people with white. It's just
Hmm.
in our Western world, that's the center, and that's seen as the standard or the normal.
Yeah.
Um, we have to see everyone as equal.
Mm,
That's the part of deconstruction that doesn't often happen. And
yes.
we're seeing all these clashes in our circles about race.
Mm,
Sexuality people tend to accept okay.
mm.
Um, I mean, to varying degrees,
Yeah.
obviously,
It's moving.
we have to decolonize,
Yeah.
heteronormativity too,
Yeah.
patriarchy. There's a list of things. It's not going to be easy deconstructing,
Yeah.
but it's worth the work because once you can extricate yourself from all the things that oppressed you and held you back
Mm,
and minimized you as a human, you're taught to not trust your instincts. You're not to trust your body. You're not taught to trust your eyes for what you can see because they're going to lead you astray.
yeah.
No, those are the things you have to trust. And to do that, you have to decolonize from all the things that were preventing you from doing that. Hard, hard to do. But you got to find your people
Mm,
who will help you and who will encourage you and call you in when you fuck up because you will fuck up
yeah.
and um but god damn it if it's not the greatest decision you will ever make in your life whether you stay a Christian or not, you can do all this either way.
Yeah.
um but finding this life like that is worth all of the effort and heartache and struggle and trauma.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there isn't just one thing. It's one list
Yeah.
of things that I would that and I do. I talk to people all the time about this. And
Yeah.
so yeah. And I'm
Absolutely.
sure you do too.
Yeah, I mean, I think in all of the episodes I've recorded, I think that's probably my favorite answer because it calls into the fact that deconstructing is so much more than deconstructing your faith. And I think it's one of the biggest things that so many people don't realize when they go into this space, whether choosing it or they were thrust into it, but they don't realize that there is so many other systems that we need to deconstruct alongside of that. And so um, I love that response. It was, yeah,
No.
beautiful.
And it's and I think you mentioned earlier it's a journey when you're
Yeah.
never done.
No.
You don't cross the finish line, I guess, until we die. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I I I like the idea of spending the rest of my life, however long that is, still searching for answers and still searching
Yeah.
for things that give us hope and that everyone can have a life where they thrive.
Yeah.
Right now it's not happening. It's
Yeah.
people are suffering and
Yeah.
that's at the hands of governments and capitalism.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't have the answers, but I think it's going to get messy.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be forced to deconstruct a lot of things in the coming years
Yeah.
because just of how things are. And so, yeah, talking to people like you
Mm,
helps a great deal.
absolutely. It's the best part of storytelling is the way that it connects people far and wide with similar themes. You can have completely different backgrounds, different upbringings, different
Yeah,
faiths, and yet the themes still connect us. And so it's the power of storytelling, I guess, which is
absolutely.
cool.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you
yeah.
for
Thanks, Sam.
sharing your story so openly and vulnerably. And from one queer person, thank you for being the person who took that risk on those queer kids in that university.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I appreciate your voice in this space.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, Sam. Thanks for doing this.
Amazing.
My book is still out. It's called Asian American
Yes.
Apostate. If anyone wants to read it,
Mm-hmm.
there's more the gory details of my time at Azusa Pacific and how
Yes.
I got out. Um, and I do a podcast called Chapel Probation.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And do
mo
listen, it's fab. Yeah.
oh yeah, and I think it's not wrapping up, but it's definitely changing because we're kind of kicking a dead horse. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we after 5 seasons, yeah, evangelical schools they kind of suck. So I don't know what else there is to say. So we're having
Yeah.
I have people on of all walks of life now, whereas we just talk about not just deconstruction, but like what are we constructing? What are we moving toward? What in our pasts affects how we move forward. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. And I will pop all of the links to the book, to the podcast in the show notes so people can easily access them. But yes, do go listen to the podcast is amazing. So do go and do
Oh,
that.
thanks.
And thank you again for joining me. It's been an absolute joy chatting to you.
Yeah. No, this is amazing, Sam. Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Beyond the Surface. I hope you found today's conversation as insightful and inspiring as I did. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who might benefit from these stories. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and more content. I love connecting with all of you. Remember, no matter where you are in your journey, you're not alone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep moving forward. Take care.